All right, good evening and welcome to Football in Vivo on Club Deportes Season 2, Episode 15. We are every week on clubdeportes.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Football Austin. That's FUTBOL Austin. You got to follow Club Deportes at Club Deportes. For all the latest and greatest sports news and commentary, you have to visit the #1 Houston Dynamo fan site on the internet, clubdeportes.com. I am your host, Eric McCoy, and I am joined by a man volunteering to play center back for Austin FC. It's David Alvarez.
How do you know I was ready to play center back?
Just a hunch, man. Just a hunch. A lot of center back injuries, and I know you're always ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Definitely.
You never miss the call, do you?
Yeah, I like headers.
And we know you play well at Q2 Stadium. There's photographic evidence of this. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we know you're a big Q2 Stadium guy. All right, I am also joined by a man petitioning for Saturday's Copa Tejas match to also not count towards the Copa Tejas standings. It's Jorge Chavez.
There's a lot of games I wish they'd count this weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to
not count
definitely
towards
talk
MLS
about
standings as well.
Yeah. Because on Friday, I was a happy guy, and it all went away.
On Friday, you were a happy guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's it's been a tough few days for all of us here. Certainly
tough.
in Verde land, but globally as well for the teams that we support.
Verde, Yellow Wall.
Chelsea's been awful for a long time, so it's not
But
really anything
there's
new.
a good news that Chelsea has a new coach.
Okay,
that's
we
good
can
news.
we can get into that, Davi. A little
Pochettino.
foreshadowing there. Well, yes, indeed. Yeah. We'll get into Pochettino, but hey, the first time in a few weeks we've all got the whole band back together.
We've all been together.
Yeah,
This
we
is
haven't
nice,
right?
in a while.
The band's back together. This is great. All right.
Unfortunately,
that's about the only positive thing we have to talk about on this week's show. Because unfortunately, let's start with Austin FC as we tend to do on this show. Because Austin FC, they suffered their second defeat of the week on Saturday night in Houston with a 2-1 loss to the Houston Dynamo. Start off well enough. Giassi Zardes registering his 100th MLS goal, so congratulations to Giassi Zardes.
yes.
Went downhill shortly thereafter. Hector Herrera, a favorite, I'm sure, of Jorge Turalde. Not necessarily a favorite of mine. But
There you go.
Hey, there it is.
There it
Giassi
is.
Zardes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations
Centennial.
to Giassi. 3 straight MLS matches with a goal for Giassi. So that makes something.
A positive.
Yeah.
A positive, yes. And then Ivan Franco, of course, near the end, gave Houston the winner. Austin FC, second defeat of the week. Just real quick before we get into the lineup and then the highlights, Jorge, just kind of your overall thoughts on the match.
I was going to go to that game.
Probably made a good
I was
decision to not go to the game.
going to go, but I had a bad feeling that I was going to be disappointed.
Hunch.
And it was a true because
Developing David's clairvoyant skills.
Yeah, I had a feeling things were going to go well, and they didn't. Obviously,
no.
Because I mean, it's one thing, and we'll get to that with Liga MX as well. But it's bad when you lose in extra time or the last few minutes of a game. I don't think there's a worse loss you can have when you think you have a result. You're away from your home stadium, hostile environment. They finally had people there at Houston Dynamo, and you think, okay, 1-1, it's fine. Something to nobody can brag about it, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then they lose. I mean, and Giassi Zardes, God bless him, he took responsibility for it, but everybody was responsible for that goal, for that last second goal. Danny Pereira was in the wrong spot.
Austin FC's set-piece defending this season has been very bad. So they've allowed 5 set-piece goals this campaign. Only 3 teams have allowed more. So they are near the bottom of MLS in terms of defending set pieces.
Yeah.
David, what were your impressions of this game?
Just like you guys, same impression. But to be specific, you just notice the set pieces, and you can see when Hector Herrera took a free kick from 25, almost 30 meters away. We only have 3 small players on the wall. And when they jump, they open. All of the 3, when they open up and the ball went straight to one of the openings.
You're questioning a couple of things here, Debbie. You're questioning who is actually placed on the wall, but then you're also questioning the desire of these players to actually, put their face in front of a
they open up.
missile
So
of a
the
free
ball
kick, huh?
went straight through the open of those players. I think it was Ring and Pereira, I believe they were there, but not the tallest ones that you need to be in or put on a wall. And when Hector Herrera is going to take it, you have 3 people in there. You need to have at least 4 guys. He just took it all the way, and Stuver made a great save. So that's one exactly example of set pieces. And you're right, all the other set pieces were awful. The last goal, the ball just bounced once right in the area before it bounced off the. I don't know who was the player for Houston, but then Cascante was right there. Cascante was right next to him, and they didn't expect it. Nobody went to the ball. Not even Houston.
Very sloppy. It was a
It was
very
pretty
sloppy
sloppy
goal to concede.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then, but there's so many other examples of that. But yeah, set pieces are a key, and we are not making it happen.
Yeah, the attention to detail right now, I think, is lacking for Austin FC. Jerry, can we go ahead and get the starting 11 before we get into the highlights? So there's one really big question I want to ask you guys about this starting 11. So the guy that's in the picture right there, Alex Ring. Why exactly? I mean, it's easy, I guess, in hindsight because he gets injured. This is a guy that has, other than the first match of the season, he started every league match. He just played 90 minutes in the Open Cup on Wednesday. To me, he's got to be in the danger zone for picking up an injury. That's ultimately what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Radovanovic looked fine, I think, as a substitute. Why not start Radovanovic in this game? That's I think a real question that should be asked of Wolf right now.
Yeah, because and I think they overthought a lot of the lineup the Austin FC staff did because of Leo Väisänen. He was out injured with a knee, so he didn't travel. He didn't start. He wasn't at Houston. So I think they overthought themselves. They said, we need a guy with experience there, and they preferred Ring over Radovanovic. And that obviously was a bad idea because, like you just mentioned, Ring has put in a lot of minutes all this season. A lot of minutes. In a position that he's not used to, by the way.
Right. As you expected by now, he shouldn't be playing in that position. I thought he should not be playing right there. Why should not be in the back?
They already have center backs. They have Radovanovic. They have the other guy that was in the Dynamo last year. They have options, and they still want Ring in there.
Yeah,
it was a bad decision.
Yeah, here's a question that I have. Why does it take, it seems like, for new players so long to build up, for Wolf to build up trust in these new players? There's Radovanovic was fine. He was fine in his appearance against New Mexico. He looked
like
fine.
He's fine.
I don't. How do you not trust him yet to start a game like this?
I mean, I look at comparisons, and probably bad comparison, but whenever a guy gets traded in the transfer window and all that, it doesn't take many players. It's soccer. It's not rocket scientist. Just give the guy a playbook, give him a couple of days, and he should be fine. And it's not happening.
This system, it's not that complex.
It's not that complicated.
It really isn't. I mean, it's a good system when it works.
Sure,
it's
great. But it's not that complicated, all right? It's not like he's coming into Pep Guardiola system or something like that.
Just have him learn the names of the guys and shout out the instructions, and that should be all that they need.
And especially in the back three, you have coverage from 2 other center backs back
experience
there.
back
there.
there.
You got one of the best, the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the league behind you too. So
he could shout out instructions. He's not an idiot. He doesn't play well with his feet. Like you don't hesitate to mention all the time.
No, he doesn't. But he compensates.
He's a good leader. He knows how to handle his back
They had
line.
him every single game. Like the last 2 games.
You're a coach. So is there any reason why it should take Wolf this long to trust someone to come into his system and play?
Well, it's really hard to understand because when you have not only a new player, but when you have, I do not understand what Lima has been a solid player. He's been given most assistance for the last 4 games, right? And then you don't have Lima starting against the Chicago Fire. For me, that was why somebody that's been so solid with Gallagher, one side Gallagher, when the other Lima and both sides, why not to keep the same players against the the Chicago Fire?
I think
like,
that is a worthy question to ask. Because Lima was very good in this Houston matchup. Very nice.
But it was as a right back. But it was as a right back.
Yeah.
Not as a converted center back. So
yeah. But the point is,
as a center back, he doesn't have that freedom to go up this up.
So almost like Lima is playing in what Ring should be doing.
Yeah.
So it's like and somehow like that's like.
Well, Lima's role was kind of interesting. On paper, he was the right-sided center back, but he was given a lot of freedom to kind of get around, actually kind of overlap.
Yeah.
I guess it was Jimenez in the first half in particular was given that freedom to overlap, send in those crosses, and that was one of Austin FC's I think most effective tactics. Particularly in that first half. But let's go ahead and get the highlights rolling. The lowlights, if you will.
Well, one highlight.
It'll start off well. But spoiler alert, it gets bad pretty quick. So there's the Houston Dynamo. I really love Carrasquilla. He's one of my favorites.
Carrasquilla is very, very good.
He's a fun player.
He's a good player.
Bassi was pretty good, too.
Yeah, Bassi was good. Yeah, an improved team in Houston, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and so, like you said, it started off well. I mean, I think Jazzy scored in the 20th minute, I think.
22nd.
22nd minute.
22nd. But this is again, it's very nice. That's Ring and Sufjan. Sufjan give it to Lima, and Lima cross it. Beautiful cross, and Sardis just
good example. He's overlapping Jimenez. Technically, the right wing back. That's the right center back going.
And it's a great. I mean, it's a typical Sardis goal. Like that's his trademark.
That's his trademark.
That's where I want him, not in midfield trying to get the ball. Which you'll see on Houston's first goal.
Even he probably prefers to be out there poaching and being in the right place at the right time and have passes like that whipped into him. He can control those.
And anyway, it's just a gorgeous pass by Lima. And he did it earlier. There was another shot that Lima gave a pass to Rigoni that Rigoni messed it up. Right? He didn't put it hard enough. But here, he put it down. He went high, and he put it just down where it's so hard for the goalie.
Yeah, it's very hard to put.
He
just gave it direction. I mean, he didn't really pounce on the ball. He just sort of.
This is the one I was telling you that Herrera took that kick, and there were only 3 guys on the wall, and the ball goes through the head, between the head of Pereira and Sufjan.
I think really good save from Super.
It was awesome.
Really nice.
Yeah, it was a great save.
But
here's Zardes. That's not where you want Giassi.
Yeah, Zardes.
That's not his game. That's not his game.
That happened the other day. You never step over, and he should have shoot the ball there. I mean, and Herrera just came lucky, and then Cascante put it in. Cascante ended up scoring that goal. I mean, even though they give it to Herrera.
I mean, look at the amount of Dynamo players that were there to pounce on the ball.
How often do you see Austin FC with that many players in the box?
And the amount of Austin FC defenders not on the ball.
Well,
they were 2 ahead.
Same thing happened in the last game with the Fire. There were 8 players looking at the.
There's scoring. 3 guys out there, and 4 potentially Dynamo players.
I think that's a better one.
That's the formula to create a goal.
But there you
have one more guy than the other team.
You can see Cascante. You see Cascante scoring there. You can see Cascante is the one that put the ball in. There you go with the left.
But it was
right there.
Right
there. You see, he instead of putting the entire feet, he just put half of his feet.
That was like questioning his form there, David.
Oh my! Yeah, that was awful. You should have saved that one.
Well, there's no shortage of Cascante criticism.
And that was Carrasquilla too. And then the guy should have put it with the right. I don't know why he went with the left. I don't know. And then he got it humble. It was a humble, but he should have gone with the right. He went through the left side. I mean, I'm sorry, but that was wrong.
Yeah.
Even though because then it became a humble, I think.
I think it was offsides actually.
Yeah.
But this is probably the right call.
Look at who give back the pass back.
They had so many chances.
Number 18 just give the ball back. Look at there it is with the head.
It's like they forgot who Herrera is. I mean, he's not some schmuck.
And what is saved by
he's a world-class player. You know,
that was great by Fagundes here, and I think it was one of the most. It was great to have him there, and it was a great move by Urruti. It was so close.
It
was so close.
It was vintage Urruti right there. Just quick.
It would have been so nice to score against his former team.
And here
he goes about the bad news. 86 minutes. Don't panic. Don't panic. You see the bounce right there. It should not bounce the ball. It was just awful. I mean, it was not a good kick, but they got lucky. They got lucky.
Yeah, it was.
But that sometimes. That's
But they got lucky. You cannot say they got lucky. They have 13 shots on goal and more shots. No, on goal they have I think 6 shots on goal and 13 shots overall, something like that. But they dominated us.
Shots, 5 on target. Austin FC had 11 shots, just 3 on target.
That's right.
The expected goals also like Houston,
and they definitely
0.96.
push at the end of the game. They push for this for the win. And the subs that we made, they're subs to keep the 1-1. It's like the idea is to keep. That's the issue there.
Yeah, Austin FC.
In the 60th minute, when you make the decision of what you're going to do, are you going to try to win this game or you're going to try to tie the game? And when you try to tie the game, what happened, right? You end up losing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, It was definitely. It looked like the Austin FC would have been very happy with a point in this game. They really kind of did seem to kind of take their foot off the gas in the second half. I think that's a good point.
I think Austin FC was complacent.
Yes, that's a good word for it.
In that result, that 1-1, we'll be fine, and
never do that. I never do that. As a coach, I never do that.
You never allow.
I'm always going for the win, no matter what. It's like Bielsa. When the aggressiveness, Bielsa's gonna lose like 4-1. He's gonna be aggressive. Picking in you, scoring like 100 shots on goal before you die.
The game plan here, it just didn't make sense.
Well, I'll tell you, especially with the issues that Austin FC have at the back in terms of injuries right now. We're about to get into that conversation.
Yeah.
But is it really your best tactic to try and rely on the defense that is so injured and so just kind of makeshift right now?
But it's so many things that's happening. I mean that's one issue. But the other thing for me that we've been watching is like the way like Pereira takes shots. Pereira every game we've seen Pereira taking shots from outside the.
Low percentage shots is what you're criticizing.
They're never anyway, like barely. Like out of 4 of them, he puts 1, but it's not even dangerous.
I think that's a really good point to bring up because I think Josh Wolf's system really preaches patient possession, high value shots. Maybe like not necessarily a huge volume of shots, but a high quality of shots. And so taking those long range shots, I think are actually really damaging to how this team wants to.
Well, we lost possession, first of all.
Yeah, exactly. You give away. Possession. That's a great way to give away possession is to take a shot from the kind of places.
And he never put it. I mean, I'm sorry, but we talked about last week about those shots that Pereira keeps taking, and then he took again against Houston. He took it against the Fire, but none of them really dangerous.
They just hand over possession to the other team.
He gets one of those a season that he actually puts in the top corner.
Yeah,
and then he thinks he can.
And I think what's happening is that they're getting a little bit desperate. That things aren't working. I'm just going to try it to see if something happens.
You have guys trying to play a little hero ball.
Yeah, because I remember Finley had a shot outside the box and Wolf outside the box. So those were definitely hopeful shots that just happened to be good shots. But if you try to do that in every single game,
it's not a blueprint for success.
It's not a blueprint. No. That's not how Josh Wolf has built this team.
So we're depending pretty much on the passes shots. And the passes from Lima, and that's it. That's the most dangerous thing we got.
Well, it's a tough situation, but I want to have the conversation about the injuries. This is a big talking point after the match from quite a few people. I know We Are Austin TV had a tweet that they sent out saying it was the story. That's the Alex Ring picked up a groin injury. This is we've had
Bison with a
Bison
knee.
had a knee injury. Then of course. Drewsy was out with a groin injury as well.
Yeah, there's a tweet there.
A lot of injuries here.
Yeah, and it's something quoted from Josh Wolf, and I just want to read it. It's odd. I certainly say it's odd. 3-4 of them in a short span that we've had this is enough for me to have questions with the high performance staff.
I mean, that's interesting that he's calling out his staff.
Throwing his staff under the bus.
But we just said that Ring shouldn't even been in this lineup. That is his call.
That was his call. Yeah,
so,
I mean, like we mentioned before, you already have center backs. You could even have center backs that are actually pretty good in Austin FC too. Just bring a couple of those guys in, and it's not happening.
So you think in terms of if we're trying to adjudicate blame here, like you think it falls mostly at Wolf as opposed to the medical staff?
I agree. Okay. I think so.
What do you think, David?
Of course, just like remember Mourinho when he was trying to blame the doctor?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Chelsea.
I remember
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Slightly
he got
different
mad at her,
situation,
yeah.
but
It's-
yes.
but,
yeah.
but Bayern Munich too, they kind of they try to blame. But at the end of the day, it's not the doctor, it's the coach that knows who he plays. He needs to decide who's going to play, and he knows the safety more than the doctor.
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
players.
anyone that could see Ring playing 90 minutes on Wednesday and look at the number of minutes he's played in the league this season should know it might be a good idea to rotate.
Things are gonna break down, and he should have planned for this. Obviously, you don't plan for a knee injury by a Leo Weissen, who's arguably the best center back that we have. Pretty consistent. He probably doesn't do that many errors. He hardly gets mentioned, which is probably a good thing.
It's a good thing for a center back.
Yeah, it's a good thing when you don't get mentioned. And so, obviously, it's a very important injury that happened.
At least 2 months he's going to be out.
At least
That's
2
not
months.
a good situation.
And then Ring's got this groin injury. He's probably out
At least a month, I would say. Yeah, maybe longer.
And so, you're running out of center backs. Sooner or later, you're going to have to dig into the Austin
Get
FC
ready for
spot.
Kip Keller and Amro Tarek to return to the
I mean, Kip Keller, I think he was on the roster, was he?
I mean, look at it this
he
way.
might have been, yeah. I think
How
he
much
was
worse
on
can it be? How much worse can it get for Austin FC season? We're in ninth place right now. We're in 10th place, actually. Just outside, unbelievably. And this says more about how the teams that are worse below us than the Austin FC.
And I think it says a lot about the how many teams actually make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Galaxy is awful. Kansas City is awful.
I mean,
if it wasn't for those two, who knows?
But everybody also is not. We are not the only ones full of injuries, right? There's like everybody's
well,
full of
okay.
injuries.
This is something I want to bring up. I actually have an issue with the way this whole league has been scheduled this season. I think you bring in a Leagues Cup, which is essentially functioning almost the way the World Cup did for the European season, where you have this month-long break in the MLS campaign that is going to occur so you can play this Leagues Cup tournament.
Right.
So that's creating this fixture crunch where teams are playing pretty much 2 matches a week. And MLS teams is a salary-capped league. Like, you can only spend so much money on your roster, and teams just aren't deep enough to play 2 matches in a week.
Some teams.
Something. I think other than LAFC.
I
think that's kind of the only one. Most other teams have really struggled with this. And I just think, especially like this season, you have the big Apple TV contract. You're putting these games behind a paywall. You're actually saying, hey, people, pay your money for this product. And frankly, this product is not good right now. These games are not entertaining to watch.
No.
If we didn't have a vested interest in Austin FC, I don't know if I'd be spending my time watching. I don't want to watch tired players. I don't want to watch MLS Next Pro guys get a call up. Even LAFC sent out was like basically an MLS Pro team in their Open Cup game against the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So are you guys with me on this? That this is just either you need to get rid of the Leagues Cup because I mean it's a big money grab, but. I mean,
but that's all it is.
That's all it is, right? You can't
now.
until it has some history. You can't tell people that this matters and say that automatically it matters.
Yeah,
right? History has to.
And you also have to look at what the U.S. Open Cup means. I would rather give the U.S. Open Cup more importance than it has right now.
I couldn't agree more.
Because I mean,
it's the oldest cup, right? It's the oldest
there is history with Open Cup.
Did you guys look at the not only the crowd? Yeah, I know it was announced that it was a sellout. But it was pretty empty.
There were a lot of green seats.
A lot of green seats. If you looked at the SeatGeek app when you buy tickets, you could have a seat.
Would have been a cheap night
for
out.
about $20.
$16 I hear.
$16. I took a big loss in my normal take for my season tickets that I sell normally for price. I had to slice it in half just to get rid of them. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been taken up.
Yeah.
So. U.S. Open, for whatever reason, the fans aren't interested in U.S. Open Cup because they're more open in the Leagues Cup. And I think I agree. They should maybe not get rid of it, but tweak it somehow. Move up the schedule, stretch it out. Add 2 more weeks to the end and to the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
dedicate more time to it. Make it a month-long tournament. That's all you play. Something.
I think a big thing would just be allow teams to spend a bit more money so they can be, instead of being 11 players, 12 players deep. These squads can be 16, 17 players deep.
Yeah.
And really, if you want to actually have a shot of not being embarrassed by the Liga MX teams, you might want to do that anyway, because this could end up not being a good look for MLS.
No.
If the teams are playing the way they're playing now.
Yeah.
I mean, that Austin FC Toronto game was one of the worst games I've ever sat through in my life. That was horrible. That was just a bad entertainment product.
Yeah.
This Houston game, it wasn't pretty. Especially the second half.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy on the eyes.
Yeah, and if you look
and what about the Chicago Fire game?
Other than Shaqiri, it was not a well played game at all.
He was not.
Shaqiri was brilliant.
And that's
no
the thing about that game that kind of upsets me is that Shaqiri has not been good all season.
He really
But
hasn't.
he was allowed to be the man in this game.
But the game before was too.
But arguably
against Atlanta, he played pretty good.
by
too.
arguably the best lineup Austin FC can get at the moment, and it was not even close. It was just an awful thing to
Well,
see.
okay, so it's interesting. I think there's some tweets that Austin FC actually sent out.
Yes.
I think we might have these for if Jerry can get those pulled up, but a bit of happy talk going on from the Austin FC.
I don't know from
social
where.
media team.
I
Here we
mean-
go. So May 24th, the U.S. Open Cup campaign comes to an end. May 25th, keep climbing with
May
And they
25th.
show
the Toronto.
I mean, admittedly, there's no highlights to show for
Oh,
the
okay.
the Chicago Fire FC game. Admittedly,
that would be a tough task. Editing.
skip a day. I mean, are they in a quota where they have to put something positive at every single day? No, come on.
Yeah, you got to read the room. People aren't.
Al cabo ni quería
what
ganar
that is,
exacto.
but that-
Yeah, I mean,
Anyways,
you know.
I didn't even want to win the cup anyways.
Yeah,
You didn't want to
I
win
don't
the
care
cup.
about- I didn't want to win the cup anyways. That's what El Chavo says.
That's what the
Oh, that's what you would say. It's like,
yeah.
No, that's what he said.
That's what he
take
said.
the first trophy in
Hey,
team
I
history.
said
It'll be
clearly
great.
last week before with Jorge, we say, hopefully we learn the lessons from the Conca Champions debacle of the Violet SC, and we don't play with an alternative players
Well, that didn't
in
happen.
any other cup.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen again.
Strong lineup.
Remember
Didn't
again.
get it done.
And the thing is that
Where was Lima? Where was Urruti? Didn't even Urruti didn't even keep to the game. He didn't play.
No, wasn't there. And so, arguably, Urruti, Zardes, okay.
But you gotta put Urruti
Zardes had a bit of a hot hand, but precisely because he has a hot hand, they probably should have sat him.
Yeah,
And
no,
start Urruti, give him some minutes. But
seems that they give up. They give up at this. The team was lost already. Like for this, there was no way they're gonna come back. And I was like,
So, as a fan, Tavi, like, how frustrating is it that you're this frustrated with the team? How does that messaging look when you're seeing you're so mad the team just got dumped from another competition and it's keep climbing, and you're posting a match from the day before, again a match I said against Toronto, one of the worst displays of professional soccer I have ever seen. Late Jossie Zardes goal, but otherwise that was just garbage.
otherwise it was like we got very lucky with that one.
Yeah, I
We
100%
get
agree.
very lucky.
And to see that from the social media team, frankly, that makes me mad as someone that covers
Yeah.
this team. How about you?
No, I mean obviously I'm very I'm extremely mad with the performance and with the decisions taken in every single game. Every one of those games there were decisions that they show in the final score, right?
Plus
the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie.
What I thought was kind of interesting is that they called up a couple of guys from Austin FC, Rodriguez and Fadre, and they didn't play him.
Yeah, why call him up then?
Why call him up then? I mean, some sort of emergency of some sort on the front. I mean, just play them. How many times have we not seen some new guy that wants to impress the coach and he gives it his all because he wants to stay in the show?
It goes back to the original point we were making at the top of this thing. Is like, how long does it take for Wolf to trust a new player to actually insert him into his team? And I don't understand why it takes this long.
hope this is
when
not
Keller
what's
came
happening.
and he trusted him really quick, but then he have to let him go.
But yeah, it seems like it's going to take Keller a long time to turn that trust back because he's been
and that's probably the other side of the coin that when you don't show the coaching staff something, you get pretty much relegated.
And imagine the extra pressure that puts on you as a player coming into the situation. Like, okay, if I make a mistake, and I could be banished to Austin FC too for 4 months.
But this is the thing. Admittedly, this is a trash season for Austin FC. They are not going to go anywhere, and if they do, they might
think they'll make the playoffs?
They might sneak into 9th or 8th place, maybe, because they're right on the cusp.
They're not a playoff caliber team at all.
They're not, but there are 4 other teams that are worse than Austin FC. Galaxy's a mess.
So bad.
And they have much more.
And the fan. All the fan bands they don't go to the games. The supporters are not going to the games.
And this is the thing. You bring up a perfect point. What if Austin FC, Los Verdes, Austin Anthem, all those guys suddenly stopped going? What do you think is what kind of message do you think that's gonna send to the owner and to the staff? Because are they gonna care more about the fan experience that they're in the 43rd straight playoff sellout, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What if that streak comes to an end abruptly? How much of a change do you think that's going to happen with Austin FC?
I think there definitely will be a change. The question is it going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen.
Probably not.
Exactly.
I don't think it would happen this season. I think a term that I've used a few times, goodwill. I think there's been enough goodwill. I don't know if it's how much that goodwill is earned.
I know the excuse is going to be, and it's a valid excuse. I'm not saying that it's not, but Austin FC has suffered a lot of injuries this season.
But as we said, a lot of teams have.
Every single team has to do with those issues. So you have to do. Every team needs to be ready for those issues. And I think the best thing that everybody needs to do in the MLS. I hope everybody watched the Premier League yesterday and saw 3 wonderful teams going to relegation, and what it means for the people for the football in England and the football in the world when you have that incentive and consequence, and an incentive, right?
Yeah.
And think about that and then translate that to Austin. That's what I would love to do.
Because I mean, you look at a team like Leeds, who got relegated. They have World Cup playing players like Weston McKennie, Anderson,
Rodrigo,
Tyler, all those guys. They're not going to be in the team next year.
No. And Leicester won the Premier not long ago.
Yeah, Aronson. For sure, Aronson, yes.
Yeah, Brendan Aronson.
He had a clause in his contract that if Leeds gets relegated, he's going to be released. So he's going to be looking for a new team. Weston McKennie was on loan. He's not going to come back to us.
Hey, bring those guys to Austin.
At least they get some playing.
No one shows up to the game.
At least they get some playing time.
And then pre-court will sign Adams and McCoy.
At least for sure.
They don't use like a foreign, permit.
But I think
they don't need that too.
You bring up an excellent point, David. But unfortunately, relegation I don't think is ever coming to MLS. The owners don't want it. And they have too much power. That's why you have the salary cap, so the owners don't have to spend as much money.
We had the example in the MX Liga MX that happened too. Like, they don't have relegation the last 3 years. They haven't had relegation.
And they won't for the next 3.
And look at how bad,
it affects the quality of the league, right?
Yeah, the bottom teams are the same one usually. And they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about it.
The stakes are removed.
So, but I think it's going to change. I think the Liga MX is going to go back to relegation.
So. Probably because but like you said, it's not going to be it's not going to come to MLS. So just get that out.
Yeah.
Because San Diego,
but it's not about the coming to save MLS. But I'm saying at least the mentality for the owners of having accountability for.
How do you create that if you don't have relegation?
Well, I don't know. Just watch Futbol in Vivo more.
I don't mind that.
But San Diego just got announced as a 30th team.
30th.
And the ownership group forked out $500 million.
Yeah, they don't want any kind of relegation.
They are not going to be in favor of relegation.
They are not saying.
And you know that. that MLS is going to invite a 31st and a 32nd team Do you think they're going to pay $500 million? They're going to pay more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
they're not going to want relegation.
Nope.
Yeah.
Austin FC is not going to want relegation.
Nobody's
None of the ownership
would
group is
vote
going to
for
want
that. No
relegation.
one
Oh my God, it would be
Now,
so much
do
fun.
I
It
foresee?
would be brilliant, but it's not going to happen.
Do I foresee a type of Superliga type of arrangement where
That's what Leagues
The-
Cup is the
the-
kind of the petri dish for.
yeah, where the top 10 MLS teams, top 10 Liga MX teams become a Superliga, and the remainder remain in MLS, remain in Liga MX, remain First Division, but they're not in that league.
Yeah.
Could I foresee something like that?
You know what? That sounds a lot like,
Maybe.
Jorge. With that actually, that
Maybe.
reminds me a lot of the European Super League.
Right,
Which
but
was such a popular
but
idea.
with a Superliga, but with that, it was close. There was no relegation.
Yes.
So if you win,
So if you add the relegation
yeah,
of it,
if
okay.
you win your domestic league, you're not going to get invited to Superliga. As far as I recall, the arrangement was. It was just it's closed. And that's it.
Yeah, you're right. about
This
that.
is going to be hopefully different if that comes to fruition. And I've seen some articles talking about that. But that would be the only way that I could foresee something. Like
Yeah. In the meantime, we
Now,
just relax.
Would I love to see
Relax and
Would I love to see my
Relax,
team
man.
that did not lose this weekend because they didn't play? Would I like to see them in MLS? Obviously, I would love to see them, but it's not going to happen.
That's not gonna
It's
go.
one of the gold standards in USL right there. That's
Number
a
one or
Pokemon.
number two in the league right now. So
Wow, El Paso. No, it's a big city. It can be.
it could be,
It could be fighting the Copa Tejas.
but
There are a lot of teams in USL though, like that play like minor league. Well, actually, unfortunately, that would be El Paso is one of those teams.
Yes.
and so I don't think MLS would, as much as I would love to see it, and like whatever, that's your stadium, that's your stadium.
Yeah.
I don't think MLS sees that as a product they would want to put out. A minor league baseball stadium. I mean, we saw what Garber said about the Open Cup. He was complaining about the different,
Yeah,
stadiums,
yeah.
the high school football stadiums and all that. So
right because
I love that,
There's
but,
probably very
I don't think the
few soccer
MLS higher-ups
specific.
do.
You guys are
That-
so
that-
critical. You're criticizing everything.
No,
like the
it's-
MLS,
it's
the,
a bad weekend,
Apple,
man. It was
Apple
a bad
TV
weekend.
deal with MLS, the system of the MLS.
It was-
Do you
Oh my
disagree with
God.
what we're saying?
Do you disagree with anything we just said? No. So-
You
I
gotta be
answered
on
for you.
board. You gotta be on
Yeah.
board. Okay, speaking of grievances, I do have a
Which
couple
which
more
one do you want to
grievances
go on to next?
It's been a week since I've been on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really getting frustrated with one player on Austin FC in particular. And I think you guys probably know where I'm going with this. But Emiliano Rigoni. I'm just at my wit's end right now. Because I remember a few weeks ago when it was a more optimistic time on this show. We were like, oh, maybe he just has the yips, right? Like maybe he's in the pressure of the weight of expectation, trying to score his first Austin FC goal. That's bringing him down. That's why he's getting into these good positions and then misfiring, flubbing his lines at the crucial moment. However, Rigoni has scored his first Austin FC goal
And
then done pretty much
and had an assist.
and
the next
assist,
one
but largely has done a whole lot of nothing, really.
again.
Again. And since Wolf loves, in the press conferences, Josh Wolf loves to bring up the expected goals number. So what I'm going to do, on this show, I want to start bringing up Rigoni's expected goals numbers after each match. And so in this particular match, 0.2 expected goals, 0 expected goals assisted. He had just one shot. That was in the 10th minute. Pretty much anonymous since then.
A very weak shot.
Very
Pass from Lima.
What is it? Masita?
Masita.
Yeah, it was a
Una
Masita.
Masita.
It was definitely a Masita. So can we just say case closed? This guy's just a mediocre player. Can we definitively say that now, or do you still have some?
I mean, so far, yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's like every time, and it's somebody that he can play with both legs. Like unlike many,
Yeah, he takes
many
both
ambidextrous.
legs.
He
Yeah,
doesn't play.
corner kicks to
unlike-
both sides.
yeah.
That's impressive.
You
Give him
see,
that.
you took a corner kick with you started with the left and you switched to the right. I thought that's impressive. I think that's the main thing.
Could
that he has.
cause some
Yeah.
issues and confusion.
And
sure.
he's been playing some games better than at the beginning, but he has not shown what the team paid for it. He has not shown any of it, and
Especially with the salaries that came up already.
and so no. If they say it's mediocre, I would say so. Yeah.
You
The
So far.
numbers, we talked about this just before, the numbers don't lie. Shaqiri, I think I saw an MLS article about Shaqiri having one of the worst DP signings. Maybe not MLS soccer because they don't like to criticize their own guys. But Shaqiri was arguably one of the worst DP signings.
Oh, yeah. It was looking pretty bad until that.
And Rigoni's not that far away, to be honest.
Yeah.
Shaqiri has not produced anything and deservedly deserves the criticism. I don't see why Rigoni is any different.
But I think Shaqiri has the last 3 games has been.
Now let me.
Well,
let me
yeah,
tell
the
you,
last 3 games. But
I don't think on this show I have brought up enough just how the timing of his signing. Think about it. Let's cast our minds back to happier times. 2022, Austin FC second place in the West, right there with LAFC for the Supporter Shield.
Yep.
Open DP spot, and this is money to spend, and this is who you bring in. You go from second in the West at the time of that signing to now you're 10th in the West. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a disaster.
That's a disaster.
It really is. You really have to look at this as one of the worst signings in MLS history. It really is that bad.
I mean, I kind of thought that making Alex Ring a DP was probably a bad move because Ring
I think
probably
there was some when you have all your U22 slots used, there's a
Right.
limit to the salary that the third DP slot can have. So I think that's kind of why that happened.
Yeah, but you're not telling me you couldn't have signed him for as not a DP. Just a regular roster. Not take up an international spot even.
Yeah, there was some financial shenanigans.
Some
going
about
on
financial shenanigans, but arguably you have to see again with the salary cap and how much money. And Iturralde loves to show this, by the way.
He does, yeah.
The amount of players that a team like Leon, which is he's a fan of, how many of those that salary cap for that team is probably comparable to a lot of MLS teams. And they are a much better quality. Why? Because Liga MX does not have a DP. So they're not top heavy. They're more average. So your number 1 player to your number 22 player are more pricely, what I want to say, more closely in price. Mm-hmm. So even the worst player in your team is probably a little better than the worst paid player on an MLS team.
I think this is a really interesting point that you're bringing up.
Because let's look at the prices that Austin FC players play. They love to harp on how many we're a 43rd straight sellout team.
Yeah.
Compare the prices to an average take for an Austin FC game that they've sold out all the ones that they've played versus a team like LA Galaxy. Mm-hmm. I can get an LA Galaxy ticket for about $30. Can I normally get a $30 ticket for Austin FC? No. So what are they spending their money on? If it's not
you can't get a $30 hot
that's
dog
presenting
at the stadium,
on the field,
really.
And it's something that I'm surprised by Anthony Precourt. I don't want to pressure him, but he had much better quality when he was with Columbus. And admittedly, an absentee owner, because let's face it, he probably didn't want to be there in the first place. But there was a much better quality. I know Greg Berhalter was there and all that kind of stuff. But even the remnants of that resulted in the Columbus Crew championship.
Yep, absolutely.
And most of those players were signed under
Zelarayan.
under Precourt's regime. So you could say that Precourt
had experience.
That Precourt even had a hand in that. Mm-hmm. What's going on? Why Why isn't the salary cap more commendable to something like LA Galaxy?
Yeah,
if the money's flowing in with all these sellouts.
But not only the salary, just everything. It's just the experience.
Yeah, $50 jellyfish. Come on, man.
I think it's $18.
$18 jellyfish. Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a reason why fans need to be fired up and angry about this. Look at what it costs to get into the game. Look what it costs to get a snack, get a beer. It's not cheap. It's not a cheap fan experience.
But I gotta tell you that there's still people want to go to the games. I just have some friends from Austin were in Houston. They weren't going for the game, but they happened to be in Houston, and they went to the game.
They wanted the experience.
They went to the game, and they loved it, and they asked me, hey, David, how can I get to, because they're from Austin, but they love to the experience of supporting a team from Austin. So now they ask me when can I get to the next game?
But I mean, sooner or later, the fan base has to do something to demand, put their foot down and put away their money. And it's going to be difficult because there's 15,000 season tickets that are sold. So technically, there's at least 15,000 attendance for the rest of the season.
So that's almost the entire
And then there's
stadium.
a waiting list.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the entire stadium.
Yeah.
And so they only really have to sell about 6,000 tickets. But how's it going to look if, even though they can claim that fine, and it's something that I think Scott talked about, I don't remember, an issue about the actual attendance and how many seats are sold.
Yes. Because I think they go to the secondary market. So like SeatGeek buys them all up and then
resells them.
Yeah, and resells them.
But what if you do buy those seats? You paid your money already, but not go to the supporter section. What message is that going to send? I honestly,
I think one day I saw you put in a bag, a HEB bag in your head. I thought that was a great idea.
Even that.
HEB, and even looked like that. That was a great
if the
one.
whole South Side
I thought it was a good
ended up going with a bag over their head.
Oh, I would be.
How would that look on
As long
national
as they credit
TV?
Football and Vivo, they got to credit us because it was our idea. So.
Because that idea, the HEB bag, that was the best one.
I know
Where's
supporters
the bag?
culture is always about rah-rah and defending the team and pushing the team forward and all that kind of stuff.
Oh.
But again, what is LA Galaxy?
Accountability.
Are LA Galaxy fans any worse? They've had a lot of championships. They've sold a lot of games.
Oh, yeah.
But what are they doing this season? They're
But not only
boycotting
this
the team.
season. I mean, they
Why?
rehired the manager, right? After an awful season.
Why? I know this, again, this season is trash. Might as well give it a trash send-off because the fan base really needs to send out a message.
So genuinely, what do you think that would prompt Austin FC ownership to do? If the fans either boycotted it, put bags over their heads, some kind of statement like that, what do you think ownership, what would the reaction be?
I think they would put a mirror. That would show a mirror.
Self-reflection.
Self-reflection. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? How can I please the fans? I mean, I look at it this way. You guys have been to Austin FC2's games, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are they packed? Are they packed?
The one I went to was sold out.
They are very popular.
It was fun.
That is a good team. Mm-hmm. What would happen if Fodry, Martinez, some of those guys, Kip Keller, he's even played well.
Yeah, played well.
Bring those guys in for one game over the starters to see what happens. They may get trashed, and you might find a gem, a rough cut gem that suddenly scores 3 goals.
Any experiment will work.
But any experiment, I think from this point on, anything's better than just the same old guys.
Status quo
well,
we have.
It's interesting, and I think you have a really good point there, Jorge. But if we could get the standings pulled up, I mean, this is again one of my complaints about this MLS season. I mean, there you are, Austin FC level on points with the 9th place team, just out of a playoff spot on goal differential. So
with Salt Lake just below them.
Yeah. It is a big pile up down there, but you still have a lot to play for. You're right there as far as the playoff spot goes. Maybe if it gets, we're talking 2 months on, and Austin FC are hanging out down there with the Galaxy, then maybe you'd say that. What I would say is that there's no reason why you couldn't just have like 1 or 2 of those guys get an appearance. So not necessarily like a full Austin FC team, but like a few of those players that are playing well, reward them and get the fans would love it.
The fan base is already on board with a lot of these FC players.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Austin
the
FC
Twitter hype's starting to get pretty loud.
They're pretty familiar with them. They probably know their styles. So it would be something I would love to see start a CJ Fodley. See what he can bring. You never know.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What is your take on this, David?
On what?
Have you been listening to this conversation?
I mean,
should Austin FC promote some of the Austin FC2 MLS Next Pro players?
I say that would be a great idea. I mean, but there's so many things under the table. We can do so many things, but many things we can do on the field itself. I mean, with the players that we have. I mean, it's just the players that we have right now. Yeah, it's good to bring everybody that is possible, and to have the ATX2 is wonderful. We didn't have it before, and it's a great fitting.
That's what it's for.
That's what it's fitting. So, but I think the problem is not that one. I mean, the problem is the problem is what do we do in the field? What are we? Do we have a goal? What is the goal of the team? What are the consequences for not getting the goal? Okay, you play CONCACAF, you play the US Cup. So do you have to do something to do that? If you don't do well.
Here's the thing, David. I think this is where Jorge's point really comes in, is that the consequences, since MLS isn't going to have any consequences for bad performance, it's on the fans.
It's on the ownership. On the ownership.
It's on the fans to call out the ownership so the ownership reacts, because that's where the consequences will come from.
Because
the players not showing, or the fans not showing.
Because I know a lot of longtime fans that were with me in the groundbreaking. So we're
OGs.
We're OGs. Some of them have started Wolf Out.
Really?
Some of them have started Wolf Out already.
Some of them. His ears perked up there. He's listening now.
Some of them are diehard. Wolf.
That's the bottom line. I mean, we can talk about what we can do. I mean, but the bottom line, if you don't make a team, you don't make the problem is we have a team that doesn't have leadership. We have a team without leadership, and we don't have any consistency. We put different players every game. We have a new lineup. Everything changes.
Every single game we've had a different lineup.
And then the subs are always the same one by one. There's never a sub intended to create or win a game. It's always to defend a game one by one. It's like we talk about the set pieces, the physical part, all the part the physicality is there, or the doctors need to be here. Everything is not working. Yes, nothing is really working, but we just keep on the way, riding the wave until the playoff. We might win 2 more games, and we make the playoff. That's all we need to do.
Well, I want to say that I think if this team 8th, 9th place, that shouldn't be considered a success at all. If Los FC finish 9th and get dumped in the play-in game, that's a disaster of a season.
Especially if you want to turn things around based on what they did last year, where they were disrespected. Well, this time around, they are respected. A lot of pundits chose Austin FC for 2nd or 3rd place. They're not even close to that.
No.
They're not even close to that.
But one thing for sure is what everybody respect is the fans, the Austin fans. That's the main thing that we have.
I think they have a big voice.
Mm-hmm. It's a big.
I think I saw something maybe last year where Austin FC fandom is the most social media savvy group of all of MLS.
They certainly have social media down.
I mean, every time Austin FC wins, how many Houston Dynamo fans go in there? 2 or 3 guys. Mm-hmm. And how many are defending even a loss? 20. And they're not even the everyday guys. They're people I don't even know that suddenly are defending the team, which is fine. But
because last year
I have the but they have the power to do that, to ask for change.
Well, we saw it really, honestly, we saw it with the Cecilio situation.
We saw it with the Cecilio situation.
That was the fans letting their voice be heard, and the ownership reacted.
And because they never played him again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Why can't they do that now with the whole team?
Well,
I'm sure that they can.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it, guys. I'm going to.
You're going to be the ringleader.
Well, I'm going to Chile for
you'll take a little break. Back ready to go.
I'll be come back. I'll work on it. I'll work on some issues what we can do there.
Well, I hope you've got your MLS season pass ready to go, David. Because while you're in Chile, Austin FC is going to be playing a couple games.
Yeah.
So there's a 2-match week yet again, much to my chagrin. Austin FC on Wednesday are facing Minnesota United, and on Saturday they're taking on Real Salt Lake. Both these games at Q2 Stadium. I think it's fair to say both these games winnable on paper anyways.
Winnable on paper.
A little tricky, but you're at home. How do you see Austin FC's week going? We'll start with you, Jorge, then I'll get your thoughts, David.
I hope Austin FC take a deep look at themselves in the mirror and demand more of themselves. Mm-hmm. And say this is enough. We need to start getting results, because If they don't do that now, I think both Zardes and Wolf keep harping on this, not harping, but mentioning it, that if you win 2 or 3 games, get results in 2 or 3 games, suddenly you climb up. So
when SFC won 2 games in a row, they were back in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
climbing up, as the tweet
climbing
said.
up, and if they do take the advice of the social media group, they'll end up with 6 points if they put their boots on correctly. I probably said it wrong, but whatever. But suddenly you have 6 points more, and suddenly you're back in the playoffs at probably 7th or 6th place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big crowded down there.
It's still reachable, but I think these 2 games are honestly going to be critical.
I think you're right.
To
Very
the rest of the
game.
season.
Absolutely.
Either they get results and they build from it, or they pack it in and then just start experimenting the rest of the season. Because Wolf's probably not going to lose his job unless he fires himself. But
what's the winning percentage, David?
Oh, for Wolf, it's 36%.
36%.
Really?
36%, and after 90 games.
That's probably because Austin FC fans
pretty decent sample size.
That's probably because Austin FC fans have a lot of social media.
36% winning percentage for Wolf. But you have a question? What was the question?
Well, we're getting some predictions. Do you how many points does Austin FC get this week, Jorge?
I say 1 tie, 1 win.
Okay. Do you have a Minnesota tie?
They'll probably tie Minnesota and beat Real Salt Lake.
Okay. What do you think, David?
I mean, probability, it's just you're totally right. I mean, we have like 46% chances of beating Real Salt Lake.
So you can't cheat, man. What are you doing? You're looking up the win probability? Let Google make your picks for you now?
It's obviously, but in reality, like the winning probability here, it's just based on stats. But the bottom line, against Minnesota has been through the same, very similar situation than us. Adrian Heath had been in a very hot seat. And they have a lot of problem with injuries all year long.
Their DP was just MIA for the first half of the season, or first few matches of the season.
Right, but now they got their back, and they play very similar to. Adrian Heath. Remember, is a friend of Futbol in Vivo.
He is friend of the show.
Friend of the show, and he plays very similar. He likes the attacking, physical game, very similar possession game, but depending on the player that we will have. But I think that game was going to be a key. Like this game on Wednesday, because I think it's going to be a tie. It's going to be a tie because I don't see how we can get better. I mean, we get tied with the support with the 12 men. The 12 men. 12 men. But and the next game with Real Salt Lake, I mean, they are unlikely. I think we want to also tie the game.
So you think 2 draws?
Two draws because it's I mean, we need the only way is the games will show. I mean, how we can make people think about how important is every single game and because everybody's saying, last season was so good, so we should give him another more extra year because of that year.
So SFC ownership seemed to think that.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. I want about exactly every game that we have played. Like last 2 games, let's talk about this game again, but it's going to be again the same thing over again. We'll see. But definitely, I don't think this team winning. I don't see this team is going to win.
So just 2 points, 2 draws for us.
Unless Drusy shows up. I mean, if Drusy comes back.
He could be back. He might have been back for Houston. Didn't quite make it. But
so things can change. Because Drusy is the half of the team. So he comes in.
He has been missed. That is for sure. I'm going to go, I think, a draw against Minnesota. Minnesota are a good team.
Yeah.
Good coach in Adrian Heath. I'll go draw against Minnesota and why am I saying a win against RSL?
Yeah.
What is I've been too negative. I got to end on a positive.
Yeah,
here.
they're on the same points if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Points total. So
how much time do we have, Jerry? Are we pretty much overtime? 0. Oh,
2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. I want to get real quick. Jorge, I hate to do this to you, man, but the Bundesliga, it was in the news this past weekend. And your beloved Borussia Dortmund, they had a tough go of it.
Talk about choke.
So I was going to ask, can we call it a choke?
Choked.
So a total choke.
Yeah, I mean, they had a game at home with a yellow wall there. It didn't even matter what Bayern Munich was going to do.
They were selling shirts outside the arena for Borussia Dortmund 2023.
There were prayer vigils. People were praying in churches, all sorts of stuff.
A parade of 200,000 people planned for the day after that.
Talk about
And when Reina came in, he made a difference.
And when Reina came in,
he was the spark. Really? He really was.
Spark. He had a hand. 2 assists in the 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
Too little, too late. They needed a third goal. And
the damage was done in the first half.
They were done.
Those 2 goals in the first, they were.
They just
the missed penalty.
Missed penalty. Yep.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking.
So that was missed penalty. That was like,
and that was just such a disappointing game.
I was so ready.
I hated to see that.
I was. I'm tired of seeing Bayern Munich win the Bundesliga. I was so ready.
I thought you liked Tuchel to win, to keep winning. Like every time he take his team and he wins in a year.
If there's anything that makes the Bayern win palatable, it is my love of Thomas Tuchel.
Right. But there it is.
That's
close.
So level on points, but the goal differential did him in. And this especially, like, it looked like they were going to get away with it, right? Because Mainz equalized against Bayern.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the 89th minute in Cologne Cologne equalized against Bayern. And in the 89th minute, ex-Chelsea Academy player Jamal Musiala with a very good long-range goal to go ahead and give Bayern the title. I mean, that just an extraordinary day. It was reminiscent of the, kind of the Aguero situation.
Oh, that was,
There's just nothing like final day drama like that.
It's so good. It is true. That's true. That I kind of watched it like a few days ago. That the same thing. It was like remind me of that.
Yeah, I had 2 screens going. I was watching the Dortmund game on my TV. I had the Bayern game on my laptop. It's really, really fun. Really fun. Until of course the end was less fun.
And then that's one format where obviously Bundesliga doesn't have a playoff.
It's like Chivas de Guadalajara in Mexico. They also choked.
So So what? I didn't actually see this one, but what? Quick, as we're just about out of time. But I want to go ahead and talk about that, Jorge.
Yes, but Panovic is an idiot. How do you protect? How do you think you're going to protect a 2-0 lead with less than 45 minutes left, and you bench Alexis Vega, your best forward, and then for a little while you didn't have any forwards at all? What kind of team does he think Tigres is? Well, they beat a lot of the top teams getting to that game. You think a 2-0 down is going to phase them? No.
Well,
that was such another choke.
And it was a wonderful final. It was a great final.
And when I saw Tigres tie the game, I turned off the TV. Because
I
knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
and it happened.
Congratulations to Tigres fans, to all the Tigres, especially the Austin Tigres fans. There's a lot of them.
They have a good.
There's a lot of Tigres fans here,
and they deserve it.
To them.
And there's some of them are Chelsea fans too.
Yes.
That's unfortunately, but so congratulations to them. But even they have to recognize that they didn't win. Chivas choked. Chivas lost.
Not where won that game.
They're going to own it the rest of the off-season because they had a chance to tie America, their hated rivals, to the number of championships in Liga MX, and they choked at home.
Man, everybody choked.
I mean,
everybody choked. Borussia, Dortmund,
Borussia,
Guadalajara, Chivas de Guadalajara.
Chivas at home choked.
This
has been the worst season for me in weekend in a long time.
It was a rough one.
It was a rough one.
So we need Austin FC. They got to turn it around for us.
They got to please turn it around.
Please turn it around because man, we're too negative. This was a negative show. About as fiery as we get.
It was just
on Vivo.
It's just sad.
And it was all in English.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We wanted to do what happened, but I was too.
We ran out.
That's too much. Too much to think.
A lot going on. All right, it's been fun, you guys. We're gonna do this again next week. Thank you to our fans. Thank you to Club Deportes. Thank you to Jerry Lopez, as always, a pro behind the boards. We're going to do this again next week.
Gracias.